Off, great this weekend. One of the things I've discovered, right, since I've been here, is there are different things on campus that I think, one of the things we can do as coaches is blend that together well, right? So a couple of years ago, I remember we were trying to get a recruit on campus this weekend or this same weekend, and they said they couldn't find a hotel. The nearest hotel was like in Danville, right? And I'm like, what's going on? And they said Mom's Weekend, and obviously with the entire university, with Greek Weekend. So we started doing this a couple years ago. We got almost 50 of our moms here, right? We have 100 kids on our roster. To have half the moms here on campus, pretty awesome. Have a group that's sponsoring a lunch barbecue for our crew. So just kind of a neat day for everybody. On top of that, we obviously been blessed with a really good day, temperature-wise, everything. We got over 60 plays with our ones, over 60 plays with our twos, and I think almost 25 plays with our threes. Got some really good core work with our punt, our field goal, in all phases. So some really good work there. Stayed relatively healthy. Had a couple guys that I think are just nicks and bruises from today, but overall very, very positive. Thought offensively, especially quarterback play with Luke, Donovan, and actually Kirkland Michow and Trey both got in there. All four of those guys did some really good things. A couple of newcomers that showed up it was the first time he had been in live action was Mario Sanders, right? Rio just really came on this week, had a little bit of a time there where he was out with a hamstring, but this week he's shown up every day and very impressive there. Offensive line-wise, Melvin Priestley and J.C. Davis continue to flash for us. A couple of newcomers in Cole Rusk at the tight end position and just continue to come forward. The newcomers on defense, Dennis Briggs, has just been very impressive, literally through about half the spring here. Just a guy that continues to show up. Sledge has gotten better for us inside. I think Canada on the backside. Anthony Johnson actually came in yesterday, and he's moving on, so we're out of the mix with him. So I think there's a lot of things that can happen in this spring period going into the portal season. So excited for our guys that are here, the guys that continue to show up on the improvement scale on offense. Hank Beatty, Pat Bryant. In the wide receiver room, Malik Elgey had a couple nice catches today. Both our running backs, Aiden Lawfrey and Josh, continue to shine on the defense side of the ball. Up front, I think the growth of Alec Bray has been really impressive, and I would say that T-Rod is playing as good a football as we've got him play. The perimeter players, all the outside backers continue to shine. On the back end, Miles Scott, and then I mentioned Chase Canada, but another corner that's shown up, Tyler Strain, is playing as good a football as he's played with us. So excited about those guys. I think David Alano hit, I believe, 6 straight field goals, the longest being 53 yards today. So it was a pretty impressive day for him as well. And then actually Declan Dooley hit the ball really well in the punt game as well. So excited about those guys. With that, open up for questions.
So was Anthony Johnson a surprise to you? Or
a little bit, but I could see it the last couple of weeks. There were guys playing, right, that I don't know if he saw himself getting that starting role, right, and I get it. That guy's got 1 year left. Asked him to kind of think about it, but totally understand where he was coming from. So he quit and moved on, and so it kind of allows us, really, for us, I think, in our opinion, really does a good job for us because now we know where we're at going with 1 week left, and obviously going into the last half of the spring.
How encouraged have you been about Cole Rusk this spring?
How
encouraged have you been about Cole Rusk this spring? Just you're never 100% sure what you're going to get when a guy gets here.
Well, but I appreciate the comment, but I mean that's why we recruited him, right? Like he is a guy that in my opinion, like we always say this, he was, I think, coming out of high school probably under-recruited, underdeveloped, undersized, right? And those things change with time. It allows you to make the future look bright. Like sometimes you don't want to, right? Like it allows the future of things to, if you can bring in talent, and do the right thing with them, it does a good job of making them big.
We had a chance to talk to Xavier Scott this week. I know he's not out there, but just what is his versatility and that kind of experience mean for you guys when he's back?
It was funny. I looked over there today and literally helping signal in every play, talking to guys on the field, or Xavier Scott and Matt Bailey, right? And to see those guys together, they're kind of attached at the hip. 2 guys that have been really good players for us are not out there, but I think Xavier, even though he's not out there, I've really challenged our coaches to engage the guys that aren't out there this spring. Last year, I think we focused so much with the players on the field. You had a guy like Zai who couldn't go, Bryce Barnes, right, who couldn't go a year ago, that were big players for us in the fall. So we're trying to engage those guys in leadership roles on the sidelines. It's been positive so far.
You mentioned a lot of guys that you feel like have done really well this spring. As you hit the last week of spring ball, you feel like you accomplished what maybe you set out to?
Well, I think the big thing today, we have a certain number of players that we know we've played with that we feel good about where they're at. A couple of these new transfers now factor into that. So you got a guy like Briggs who's been his 7th year. Even though he's been with us since January, you got to think about the totality of what he's been able to do. But then you have some of those transfers that come in that haven't played as much, right? And you want to get them reps, but you can see they can play for us, right? So today there was a point where we kind of capped those guys off, and then we did all the 2s and 3s, and that's where it's been kind of fun is to watch, Trey Petty get in with that group to see. Donovan Leary has been great with the 1s and 2s, but to see some of those 2s that have been on the cusp of being that guy get out there and kind of excel in their moment, that was very gratifying. What I think in this world that we're in now, right? If a guy doesn't see himself in a playing time role and he's in his 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, because the world of college football, I get it. Like if they can't get on the field, they're gonna move on. Like I don't have any problem with Anthony. He didn't know he was gonna get on the field and make plays, so he wants to go somewhere else. I don't have any problem with that.
I guess we've seen a couple guys get ahead of the portal window that opens up.
Yeah.
What's logistically like?
Yeah.
When they enter, or is that it for them? Like, what's that look like for you guys?
When your grad transfer is a little different, so you get in immediately. Yep. But obviously some guys have made announcements, right? Like every one of them has sat down and met with me, literally give them a hug out the door, right? They can do a lot of things so when the day hits on the 16th that they can boom go in. But there's a lot of paperwork to fill out before. There's actually a 48-hour window that they have a grace that they can wait, but these guys are all getting ahead of it. Just because I said there's going to be a large amount of guys getting in it, it's a little better to be proactive. And then also, just to be full transparency, a lot of times the first time we hear that a kid might have interest in us is through a high school coach or a teammate, right? Or someone that knows somebody will reach out to us. And I always tell those guys, like I talked to all their high school coaches. I had a Zoom last night, like Owen Anderson, I Zoomed with his mom and dad, like when we were recruiting him. Because now I want to help him, establish where he wants to go, right? So that's just how I work, how I feel. I want them to achieve the success that we talked about when we're recruiting them. If they can't be here, I want it to be someone great.
Northwestern the last couple of days has announced what they're going to do for field-wise in the fall. I know it's a long ways away for you, but does that matter to you? Where they're going to play, where you're going to play?
Oh, absolutely. Every game that we're playing, I'd take it.
Right.
I think they announced it. I don't know if it's going to be real, right?
Okay.
Like you can announce whatever you want, but like I know this, we're not going to play that game with 2 guys on the same sideline. I don't think we're going to play that way. I know it was a big issue in the Iowa game a year ago, right? You can't have an American football game with 2 teams on the same sideline and say it's going to be a competitive, fair game, right? Like it's just not real. So I think there'll be a lot of powers involved to make sure that the logistics of what we know become reality. Like I'm all for, I want to play, a cool game, and if Wrigley's it, but I just think it's got to be similar to what everybody else in college football is used to.
And you got fans that go to those games, especially in Northwestern over the years. And
Yeah.
they always have.
Yeah.
So I assume you want to be somewhere where that can happen. Correct?
Yeah, I don't, I'm just concerned about our game. I don't know about all the others. I was told for a while now that we thought it was going to be in Wrigley, but, I watched, I literally about a month ago watched that game, the TV copy, right, specifically for that reason. I just wanted to see how it played out, and obviously it didn't. It's just too different. Like to get your team ready to play every week is hard enough,
Right.
but now if you have to play in an environment where it's not used to what you're playing off of, that ain't going to happen.
What are your thoughts on the running back room just this spring? I mean, there's been guys that have been out, but it seems like that's a really talented room.
Yeah, excited. I think Aiden and Josh both. It's just neat to watch them go, and then I call them my green two, right? So Jordan Anderson and Caden are back there. They take every play. They take the steps. They take the call. They get too close sometimes. I got to yell at them to get back, right? Like, just fun to watch them grow. Khalil Valentine was here last weekend, and to see him kind of in there and see how he would fit into it. We've actually had a Weston Adams, Huber, those guys have kind of helped us out get in there, right? And Corey Rashad, like there's been some guys, I don't know if they would be in the rotation come fall, but they've really helped us get through the spring.
Is Cole Rusk's passion for this program and his roots in this program something that you guys pick up on as a coaching staff?
When Cole's name first came up, I obviously knew where he was from, knew what it was. Saw like a little storyline that his dad wrestled here, but then the first time I called mom and dad, and then on their official visit, like we knew people that knew people, right? And he talked about how he had been on this campus his entire life. When he was coming out is kind of when I was coming in, so it kind of got lost in that shuffle. I would like to think if he had been a player that we had known about as a sophomore, junior, senior, we probably would have recruited him out of high school. You can't change the past, you can change the future, and he's been awesome. He came up big again today. I let him break the team down at the end of the practice today, and the way the team reacted to him, he's fully adjusted into our regiment because they were giving him a lot of heat, the defensive guys, which usually is a good sign they get along well.
Pretty much Alex Bray.
Yeah.
What kind of growth have you seen from him, especially this spring?
So Alex Braid, like another guy, he was a little bit undersized, right, coming out of high school. I knew that was only a beginning phase. I think we might have been the first major offer, right, and he came our way, and just super impressed since literally the first time laying eyes on him. Mom and Dad have raised a really good kid. He's been in an environment. Dad, literally, I think, is his workout partner. They go through everything together. His will is so strong, right, and then his physical commitment, and then now he's got really long levers. He plays with good hands. I would say that he's probably a reason that others are taking notice in that room because, he ran with the ones this weekend and last weekend, and today was a second scrimmage. Some guys like some of the guys that we talk about getting out that are transferred out, they never went through a whole, like Anthony never went through a scrimmage, so you can't really tell what they were at. But Alex continued to show up and really impressed with him overall.